The ideologies. A big idea can unify people like nothing else and allow us to build the society of our dreams. Ideology has given us liberal democracy and public health insurance, but ideologies can become just as fixated expert and activities on their own idea or own solution, with even more harmful outcomes. The absurd consequence of focusing fanatically on a single idea, like a free market or equality, instead of measuring performance and doing what works, are obvious to anyone else who has spent much time looking the reality of life in Cuba and United States. Cuba, the houses of the poor. I spent some time in Cuba in 1993 investigating the devastating epidemic that was affecting 40,000 people. I had several encounters with the president, Fidel Castro himself, and I met many skilled, highly educated, and dedicated professionals in the Ministry of Health doing their best within an inflexible and oppressive system. Having lived and worked in a community's country, Mozambique, I went to Cuba with a greater curiosity but no romantic idea whatsoever, and I didn't develop any while I was there. I could tell you countless stories of nonsense I saw in Cuba. The local moonshine and toxic fluorescent concussion breed inside TV tubes using water, sugar, and baby's poopy diapers to provide the easy required of the fermentation. The hotel that hadn't planned for any guests and so had no food, a problem we solved by driving to an old people's home, eating their leftovers from the standard adult food rations. My Cuban colleague, who knew his children would be expelled from university if he sent a Christmas card to his cousin in Miami. The fact that I had to explain my research method to Fidel Castro personally to get approval, I restrained myself and just tell you why I was there and what I discovered. In late 1991, the poor farmers in tobacco growing province and Pinar del Rio had started to go color blind. The experience neurological problem with the loss of feeling in arms and legs. Cuban epidemiologists had investigated and were not seeking outside help. Since the Soviet Union had just collapsed, no help could come from the direction and researching the literature for new researchers in the world with experience of neurological pandemics among poor farmers. They hit on me. Conchita Hirago, a member of the Cuban Bolivar, met me at an airport, and on my first day Fidel himself, and on my first day Fidel himself appeared, accompanied by armed guards to check me over. His black sneakers squeaked on the cement floor as he circled around me. I spent the 3 months investigating. I concluded that the poor farmers were suffering not from massive poisoning, from black market food, as rumor had it, not from some germ causing metabolic problem, but from simple nutritional deficiency caused by global macroeconomics. The Soviet boats they had until recently been arriving full of potatoes and living full Kubans, sugars, and cigars had not come this year. All food was strictly rationed. People had given what a little nutrition food they had to the children, the pregnant, and the old, and the heroic adult, eating only rice and sugars. I present this all as carefully as I could because the clear implication was that government planning had failed to provide enough food for its people. The planned economy had failed. I was thanks to the sent home. 1 year later, I was invited back to the Havana to give a presentation to the Ministry House on health in Cuba in global perspective. The Cuban government had, by this point, with the help of Venezuelan government, regained the ability to feed the Cuban people. I showed them Cuba's special position on my health, as well as bubble chart. It had a child survival rate as high as that of the United States, and only 1/4 of the income. The Minister of Health jumped out on stage directly after I had finished to summarize my message. The Kuban are the healthiest of the poor. He said there was a big round of applause and turned out to be end of the session. However, there was not the message that everyone had taken from my presentation. As I moved to the refreshment, a young man gently grabbed my arm. He softly dragged me out of the floor of the crowd, explaining that he worked with the health statistic, that he learned his what had caused the mind with his mouth caused my. He courageously whispered, "Your data is correct, but this conclusion of the minister is completely wrong." He looked at me as if he were quizzed and answered him with questions. We are not the healthiest poor, we are poorest healthy. Healthy of the poor, say. And okay, poorest healthy.